Try again.
Finney?
No. Try again.
Why, you.
Surprised?
A husband.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, now. Miss Allenbury, if you go through this case, it's going to throw 500 people out of employment. Men and women, jobless, walking the streets. Women like yourself, tired, cold, hungry, driven to drink and ruin.
You write the editorials, don't you?
Yes.
Nobody looked askance more charmingly than Myrna, or fell in with romantic foolishness more gracefully.
That's funny. That wasn't here when I came in.
Maybe some man just put it there.
Oh, I don't think so. It would have to be a man who knew exactly what I want.
Really?
Oh, darling, I've always wanted a portable.
It's the best I could rent for 35 cents a day.
It's pretty cheap, considering it has my initials on it. Well. Look at the lovebirds. And after 4 years.
Come on, let's get out of this crosstown traffic. Now, let's see, where was I? Oh, yes, I know. I was right there.
Every time you mess up my lip rouge, it takes me 10 minutes longer to get ready.
I'll take a half hour's worth of that.
Stop it! I'm a married woman! I'll tell my husband!
That's our Myrna, the woman everyone fell in love with back in the mid-30s. She was something new in the movies. She wasn't a vamp, or a vixen, or a victim. She wasn't a screwball, and she wasn't a siren. She was, of all things to find in the movies in those days, a grown-up woman. Shrewd without being sharp, funny without being silly, decorous without being stuffy, and sexy, but in the subtlest, loveliest way. Like all the great screen characters, Myrna's represented the distilled essence of her own character. And yet, for the longest time, almost 10 years, that essence eluded Hollywood. They kept trying to impose an image on her and ignoring the entrancing reality that was right before their eyes. The daughter of Della and David Williams, she was born in Montana and lived there until she was 13. After her father died in 1918, Myrna and her mother moved to Culver City near Los Angeles. The metropolis to come was just being sketched in. In those days, LA was mainly citrus ranches and real estate dreaming. Some of it plain, some of it fancy. Like Venice, where Myrna went to high school. A sculpture stood here for decades. It symbolized aspiration. Appropriately, Myrna posed for it when she was a student. In those days, her dream was dancing. Here she is in the costume she designed for her debut, age 11. Later, she would give recitals in her front yard. Hollywood, beginning to beckon tourists, beckoned Myrna too. She wasn't interested in its bright lights or its movie studios, not yet. For it had theaters too, glorious ones like Grauman's Chinese and the Egyptian. They offered elaborate prologues for their movies and work for young dancers. Here's Myrna in costume for the Thief of Baghdad program. MGM was Myrna's neighborhood studio just around the corner from home. One day in 1924, its gates opened for her. Ben-Hur, Metro's first great epic, was shooting on the back lot. Myrna and Clark Gable are somewhere in this throng of extras. This tracking camera will find Myrna and Joan Crawford somewhere in this crowd of chorus girls. In those days, rehearsal music was live. They're working on Pretty Ladies. It's something of a curiosity. It's a backstage musical, but it's a silent picture. You could see the numbers all right. You just couldn't hear them being sung. In this production still, Joan and her lifelong friend Myrna are the first two snowdrops on the left. It was a great time to be young and working in Hollywood, a boom town that was itself running on youthful high spirits, and as it happened, standing on the brink of a technological revolution. Warner Brothers was fomenting that revolution. Working on that lot, Myrna would find herself at its center, with roles in the breakthrough movies of the new era, the sound era. The first movie with a score recorded on film was Don Juan. It was a historical fiction, emphasis on the word fiction. The year was 1926. Myrna was cast as a troublemaking lady in waiting to Lucretia Borgia. It would take Hollywood 4 years to convert entirely to sound. A year and 6 pictures later, others still held center stage and center screen, while Myrna waited in the wings. Another silent musical? Almost, but not quite. Thanks to Vitaphone, it was the first feature with synchronized sound sequences. It was, of course, that famous hinge on which movie history turns, the jazz singer. It was a sensation. It was a blockbuster. It was the wave of the future. Noah's Ark floated in on that wave 2 years later. It was a biblical spectacular, emphasis on the word spectacular. But it also contained a modern story, and this debut of what would become one of the movie's immortal voices.
Why are you always staring at the soldiers? Who are you looking for?
Well, if you must know, I'm looking for an American soldier.
Well, that ought to be easy. There are only 2 million of them over here.
Really? I thought there were more.
Now, tell me the sad story.
I don't think you'd be interested in my story.
Competing with star Dolores Costello, Myrna was the clear winner vocally. Rin Tin Tin was Warner's top silent star. Like many of his peers, he was struggling to stay on top in the new movie age. The studio cast him as the MC for this review, The Show of Shows. Technicolor was developing along with sound. Much of this early color footage, like many of the discs on which sound was first recorded, has been lost. This recently rediscovered sequence has not been seen since the movie's original release over 60 years ago. It's treasurable as an authentic record of a vanished theatrical style.
Is he a high string? Is he a low string? Is he a sing-song band, this man?
It's also invaluable as the record of the young Myrna's dream come true, solo dancing on a stage. Something about the planes of her face, the set of her eyes, conjured up exotic visions in producers' minds. This most American of women kept being cast as hot-blooded wild cats with funny accents.
I am no child. I am woman. I am your beautiful señorita.
Come on, Gypsy. How about a little kiss?
No.
Oh, come on. Well, darling, how about...
Sound required a new acting style. Many found it hard to master. The studio provided no training or dialogue coaching. Myrna had only her own instincts and common sense to guide her. As late as 1932, she was covering her true nature under a sadistic veneer in The Mask of Fu Manchu. It's a camp classic. She says she and her co-star, gentle Boris Karloff, decided they couldn't play it any other way.
He is not entirely unhandsome, is he, my father?
For a white man, no.
You have further need of him?
I have. He shall still be the means of discovering for me where they have hidden the sword and mask.
And for that purpose, you will...
Precisely.
New Morals for Old was also made in 1932, under a new contract with MGM, with a light, bright, new kind of co-star, Robert Young. Myrna was beginning to get a chance to exchange her old screen self for a new one.
Vous avez failli me tuer. Qu'avez-vous?
Pardonnez-moi. Je suis terrible.
And to trade her old screen accents for a new and more natural one.
I don't think you're so terrible.
All along, given the smallest chance, Myrna had demonstrated a wry way with witty words and a silky way with sexy behavior. These scenes are from her best early film, Love Me Tonight.
My dear Duke, you can get rid of me for 20,000 francs.
Valentine, can you go for a doctor?
Certainly. Bring him right in.
Yeah, no, it's for Jeanette. She's fainted again.
What's the point in giving the Baron a horse like that? I want to test the Baron. I could think of several better ways to do that. Let me try. Don't bother. Tell me, do you ever think of anything but men, dear? Oh, yes. Of what? Schoolboys. Oh. I suppose you have your little check all made out and everything?
Yes.
What guarantee have you that I'll keep my end of the bargain?
Your sense of honor.
Is that meant as a joke?
In those days, only tarts had tart tongues.
Are we alone?
Yes. Am I?
No. Nice place.
Yes, I like it now better myself. Oh, I'll see about those eggs.
Skip it. Come on, let's get it over with.
Problem, keep her funny, but make her nice.
Well, come home.
Darling, I'll be right there.
Solution? They obviously found one good enough to galvanize Gable, interrupt his masculine preoccupations, disrupt the dignity of his swell men's club, turn him into a madly dashing schoolboy, send him rushing hysterically into the midnight streets in order to get home to, imagine this, his wife.
Darling.
What was good enough for him would turn out to be good enough for a lot of guys. Of them all, this was the most significant man in Myrna's screen life. A director with a grand name, Woodbridge Strong Van Dyke II, and a less grand nickname, One Take. Woody Van Dyke had directed 2 of her earlier MGM films and loved her sense of comedy. And once, to test her good sportsmanship, he'd playfully pushed her into a swimming pool. She passed that test, too. The director kept telling her, and the studio, that if she played more typically American women, women more like herself, she'd become the major star she deserved to be. In 1934, Myrna and Woody did another picture together. It was her turning point, for by accident, it became a famous movie. Manhattan Melodrama was a gangster saga. To see it, a real gangster, public enemy #1, John Dillinger, was drawn out of hiding and into an FBI ambush at this Chicago theater. The price of admission to his kind of movie, starring his favorite actress, was his life.
Good evening, Inspector. Are you the new doorman?
Now, you understand, we've just been raiding this joint.
Again? Are the 6 months up already?
Well, you know how it is, lady. The law must take its course.
Yes, no, that sort of thing. May I come in?
Come on, boys.
Oh, just a minute, McGinty. Why, you have caviar all over your bench. There, that's better.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. That's just what the police force needs, a woman's touch.
That's just...
The notoriety made the picture a hit, and Myrna was terrific in it. But she hated the idea that she was capable of luring anyone to his doom. Poor soul, she said. For Myrna, the movie had a larger significance. When she reported to the back lot one night to shoot this sequence, she met, for the first time, the actor who would become her perfect screen partner, William Powell.
Pardon me if I seem to intrude.
Well, I made it. You almost got away from me.
Oh, I did, eh? Just who might you be?
That won't be unpleasant. My taxi got in a jam. It wouldn't move an inch. And to force my way through the crowd, well, it's a wonder I have any clothes left. After all, this election hoopla is your fault, not mine. I wasn't elected. Or was I?
What's the name of the game? I'd like to play, too.
Oh, just a simple little frame-up. I force my way into your car and tear my clothes and scream. And after all, you have to protect your career, so you pay.
Well, that is a nice little game. Oh, driver, just pull up to the curb. This is your corner.
Wait a minute,
Yes,
wait a minute.
outside.
Listen, I'm Eleanor.
So my favorite name,
I know,
outside.
but Blackie sent me.
Blackie? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, nothing like a district attorney to keep a girl in shape. You and I must have a good wrestle someday.
They did. Many times, many ways, in 14 films. What Bill Powell said was true. We weren't acting. We were just two people in perfect harmony.
But the doctor said that I should have plenty of exercise.
When I dance with you, I'm the one that gets the exercise.
Oh, well, I suppose I'll have to dance with myself then.
Now, stop it. Larry!
Like Myrna, Bill Powell had often been miscast as a suave villain in his early films.
For heaven's sake, I'll be right back.
With her, another side of his character, an unsuspected and wonderfully goofy side, emerged.
You know, I knew a case once where a female lovebird locked the male lovebird out of her nest, and he stood outside and he whistled and he whistled and he whistled like this. Please let me in. Oh, it was pitiful. And then finally he lost his temper. So he kicked the door of the cage down. And what do you suppose the female did then?
Gave him a sharp peck at the base of the skull.
No, she spread her soft little wing around him, and she sighed. Oh. And she laid him an egg.
Their relationship had its ups and downs, but mostly it was ups.
Will you marry me?
Well, Connie.
Will you?
Well, what do you think?
When?
When?
Now?
Now? You mean soon?
I mean now, tonight.
Tonight?
Will you, Bill?
Will I? Is there a preacher in the house?
Oh, not here. We'll take the car. We'll drive it.
To the moon.
Well, anyway, to her rightful place among the stars. Finally, the studio saw what it had been missing, and so did the rest of the world. In the late 30s, she became MGM's top female star at the box office.
Crown of diamonds. How beautiful.
This proves that America is not a republic, because you are the queen.
Her new status was acknowledged symbolically in the Great Ziegfeld and confirmed by a nationwide poll.
And so on behalf of 20 million fans, I give you your crown.
Thank you, Ed. And on ascending the throne, may I say that no queen has ever stood beside such a good-looking king.
Why, Myrna?
While the studio was building her up with the public, it was holding her down financially. She was forced to go on strike for a salary that suited a queen, and she won.
Baby, you've arrived.
Madam, I'm very sorry.
This is one of the most famous entrances in movie history. It's also a perfect little preview of what would turn out to be one of the screen's most perfect relationships.
Are you hurt, madam? Are you hurt, madam?
Oh, women and children first, boys.
Hey, what is the score, anyway?
Oh, so it's you he was after.
Hello, sugar.
He's dragged me into every gin mill on the block.
Yeah, I had him out this morning.
Oh, I thought so.
Oh, this is Tommy, my wife.
How are you?
How do you do?
Tommy, I don't usually look like this. I've been Christmas shopping.
Madam, I'm afraid we shall take the dog out.
Oh, it's all right, Joe. It's all right. It's my dog. And, my wife.
Well, you might have mentioned me first on the billing.
Immediately after Manhattan Melodrama, Woody Van Dyke read The Thin Man, Dashiell Hammett's novel about a detective who marries an heiress, but continues to follow his low calling in high society. The director fought the studio bosses to cast Myrna in the part that sealed her stardom. The studio gave in only after he promised to finish the picture in 16 days so she could start another they thought suited her better. How wrong can you be? But it was impossible to predict that Nick and Nora Charles would turn out to be such exemplary figures. Until then, marriage was something that movie characters were either trying to get into or get out of. Nick and Nora showed there could be life within marriage, if it also contained humor, patience, and the sexy sparkle of perpetual courtship.
Put your hands up. Both of you.
Of course, a little danger always helped stave off boredom.
Take care of yourself.
Oh, sure I will.
Don't say it like that. Say it as if you meant it.
Well, I do believe the little woman cares.
I don't care. It's just that I'm used to you, that's all.
But no one ever went to a Thin Man movie. Eventually, there were 6 of them for the plot. They went for the diversions from the story and to hear the banter.
Now, Mommy, you know better than to come to a place like this your first day out of bed. What if the health officers find out? They'll put you right back in quarantine.
I won't stay in quarantine. I don't care who catches it.
Myrna was the first woman to consistently hold her own verbally with a man on screen.
I know this New Year's traffic is terrible, isn't it?
Yes, you made any New Year's resolutions?
Not yet. Any complaints or suggestions?
Few.
Which?
Complaints.
All right, shoot.
Well, you don't scold, you don't nag, and you look far too pretty in the mornings.
Well, I'll remember. Must scold, must nag, mustn't be too pretty in the mornings.
Their forbearance with each other's foibles always taught a little lesson in the art of marriage.
What did you say? Did you say something about scrambled eggs?
No. Why, you want some scrambled eggs, dear? Because I can fix them for you if you want them.
Oh, no, darling. I don't care for any.
No. Sure?
Really.
Oh, good night, Richard.
Good night. Nicky, can you reach the water? Can you reach the water? Oh, no, I don't want it. I just wanted to be sure you could reach it.
Come on. I'll scramble those eggs.
Nick's old low-life pals were a running gag.
Thanks. Nick Charles here?
Yes?
You're his wife?
Yes? Hey, Nick.
Nice guy. Slipped me up the river one time. Hi, Nick.
Hello, Face.
Long time I no see.
Long time. Mommy, this is Creeps Binder. Remember?
Creeps?
Creeps. You remember? Nick sent me up the river.
Oh.
Hiya, Nicky boy.
Hiya, Meatballs. Honey, meet an old pal. Meatballs Murphy.
I'm Charles.
The girlfriend, Nicky? No, the wife.
Well, what do you know? Here you are, baby, a wedding present.
Well, cut off my legs and call me Shorty. It's a small world, ain't it?
Ain't it?
Ain't it? Where you going? Oh, we're off on a little vacation. Sycamore Springs. I get it. I'll play dummy. Oh, you're on the wrong horse, Brogan. This is Mrs. Charles. Oh, sure. How do you do, Mrs. Charles?
Oh, hello, Nora. Oh, hello.
Who's that?
Oh, you would know them, Dolly. They're respectable.
Nick's drinking was also a running gag, and maybe the one thing these movies took a little too lightly.
you packing, dear?
Mm-hmm. Yes, darling, I'm just putting away this liquor.
Say, how many drinks have you had?
This will make 6 martinis.
All right. Will you bring me 5 more martinis? Leo, line them right up here.
Yes, ma'am.
Asta was the perfect pet for a perfect couple.
You always have to ride in the baggage car because of the M-U-T-T.
He understands every word.
Gee, that's a nice pup you have there.
Not too loud. You get a swell head.
He's a brave little fellow, isn't he?
Oh, say, they don't come any braver. That dog could fight tigers for me.
Asta was a great comic figure. His character was more fully developed than most of the series' human supporting players.
Asta! Asta, drop that. That's a clue. Oh, he thinks we're playing. Nicky, come help me. Asta! Asta!
Darling, let me just... Asa? Come here, this minute. Asa! Asa!
Well, never mind me. Get him.
Yes, push. Asta! You wouldn't know how it started, would you?
The Thin Man movies were not reality. They were a stylization of reality, an instructive improvement on it, except in one respect. Nora Charles was never quite her husband's full partner in crime solving, not by today's standards of equality anyway. It was the one rub in their relationship. But dramatically and comically, it helped the Charleses avoid boring perfection. For Nora did not suffer banishment or patronization gladly. She always stuck up for her right to stick in her 2 cents. Now, that was true to her character. After all, she was supposed to be a smart, sophisticated woman.
Hey, wait a minute. Where do you get that wee stuff?
I'm coming with you.
Oh, not cured yet, huh?
Certainly not. Don't worry, darling. I won't be in the way.
Well, of course you won't, sugar. I just want to make sure.
Catch me letting you go alone.
Grab the toe.
Get me out of here. I've got something to tell you.
About the case?
Yes.
I'll get you out in one condition. No more detecting, no more cases. Promise?
But this is important.
Never mind.
Nick!
Well?
I promise.
All right.
Men, why won't they ever listen? But as Nick is about to discover for the umpty-umpth time, she never gave up.
Stick 'em up or I'll blow you in two.
Oh, don't shoot, Nicky. It's me.
Why, Mrs. Charles. Well, follow me, huh? Sure, I'll help you. Is that what you were trying to do for me?
I'm just trying to show you can't neglect me.
I might have shot you. Stop this shooting or I'll drop Charles.
No, Major, no. Nick, look out.
So you're the
Run, Nicky, run.
Grab him, man.
Nora's gumption was glorious and unexpected. Not at all what people were used to in leading ladies in those days.
You all right?
Oh, Nora, you were wonderful.
She certainly was. Mommy, you're a heroine.
Oh, what happened? What did I do? Do? Well, you saved all our lives.
Well, you jumped right into the muzzle of the gun.
I did. Oh.
Nick, this gun isn't loaded. When did you empty it?
Huh? Oh, about 3 years ago, when Nicky was cutting his teeth on it.
Well, I'm not a heroine.
Oh, yes, you are, Mommy. You're the bravest gal in the world. Oh, wait a minute. Almost forgot something. For valor.
Oh, Nicky. Is this one for keeps?
So's this one.
TNT exclusive premiere of Myrna Loy will continue in a moment. We now return to the TNT exclusive premiere of Myrna Loy.
World War II is over. You're home at last.
Where's Mom?
You are a mature man, a man of solid judgment and good taste. Who would you most want to find waiting for you? Aside from the kids, of course.
Peggy! Rob, who was...
There's only one answer to that question. Who else but the woman who had come to symbolize all that was extraordinary about supposedly ordinary womanhood? Who else but Myrna Loy?
I look terrible.
Who says so?
Isn't fair of you to bust in on us like
I
this.
phoned you from Portland.
Yes, but you said you wouldn't be home for a...
We were lucky. We got a plane to Welburn. I thought we were going to get stuck there, but we came right through.
Elle, are you all right?
Sure. Are you all right?
Oh, of course I am.
In a sense, Myrna, too, was a returning veteran. She had devoted herself completely to war work, appearing in only one movie between 1941 and 1946. Eventually, she took a full-time job with the Red Cross, overseeing entertainment in military hospitals. No star, male or female, made larger career sacrifices than Myrna. The Best Years of Our Lives was unquestionably the most important film she ever did. It was also probably the one in which she was most perfectly cast. Her wartime experiences seemed to have added a depth to her wisdom and still greater warmth to her playing. Myrna was never lucky in marriage. All four of hers failed. But, as this poignant scene shows, she knew what a successful match required.
I don't know what I do mean. It's just that everything has always been so perfect for you. You loved each other, and you got married in a big church, and you had a honeymoon in the south of France, and you never had any trouble of any kind. So how can you possibly understand how it is with Fred and me?
We never had any trouble. How many times have I told you I hated you and believed it in my heart? How many times have you said you were sick and tired of me, that we were all washed up? How many times have we had to fall in love all over again?
Mr. Blandings builds his dream house, and Miss Loy builds what may be the best comic scene she ever played.
In the bedroom.
Mother!
That'll be fine.
The moving guys just left when we went.
Never mind. You two go and help Gussie in the kitchen. Now, Mr. Fidelford, we'll talk about the painting.
Okay.
I have some samples. Oh, here we are. Now, first, the living room. I want it to be a soft green.
Uh-huh.
Not as blue-green as a robin's egg,
No.
but not as yellow-green as daffodil buds.
Huh?
Now, the only sample I could get is a little too yellow. But don't let whoever does it go to the other extreme and get it too blue.
No.
It should just be a sort of grayish yellow-green.
Uh-huh.
Now, the dining room. I'd like yellow. Not just yellow, a very gay yellow. Something bright and sunshiny.
Uh-huh.
I tell you, Mr. Fidelford, if you'll send one of your workmen to the grocer for a pound of their best butter and match that exactly, you can't go wrong.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is the paper we're going to use in the hall. It's flowered, but I don't want the ceiling to match any of the colors of the flowers.
No.
There's some little dots in the background, and it's these dots I want you to match. Not the little greenish dot near the hollyhock leaf,
No.
but the little bluish dot between the rosebud and the delphinium blossom. Is that clear?
Uh-huh.
Now, the kitchen's to be white. Not a cold, antiseptic hospital white.
No.
A little warmer, but still not to suggest any other color but white.
Uh-huh.
Now, for the powder room, in here, I want you to match this thread, and don't lose it. It's the only spool I have, and I had an awful time finding it.
As you can see, it's practically an apple red, somewhere between a healthy wine sap and an unripened Jonathan.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
You got that, Charlie?
Red, green, blue, yellow, white.
Check.
Mrs. Blandings was the last of Myrna's good wife roles. In her maturity, she was often called upon to play more troubled women, but closer to her own spirit and more happily, she also played women pursuing careers quite independently of men. Bells on their toes, Myrna was a widow who was also a successful engineer, making her feisty way in a man's world.
Dr. Gelbrand, I'm Kendall Williams, chairman of the Speakers Committee.
How do you do? Something wrong?
I'm terribly sorry that this is awfully embarrassing, but a dreadful mistake has been made. You see, one of the rules of the Engineers Club is that no women are allowed to enter it.
Oh, surely you must be joking.
I most certainly am not. I tried to call you at your home, but you'd already left. I'm terribly sorry.
Would you mind telling me why I was invited in the first place?
I read an article by L.M. Gilbert, and I was very much impressed with it. I thought it would be interesting if L.M. Gilbert would speak to us. But you're a woman.
Well, I'm afraid there's nothing I can do about that, Mr. Williams. After all, even engineering has its limits. Good night.
These screen roles reflected much of the real Myrna. She was devoting more and more time to her political life. UNESCO, world peace, liberal political causes. These were the things she cared most deeply about. She moved to New York, where she still lives, and started working more and more in plays. The Women, Barefoot in the Park, Dear Liar. She had come late to the theater and seemed to love it the more for that reason. Myrna never won an Oscar, but in recent years, many high honors have come to her. I was privileged to play a role on one of these occasions. Myrna Loy, you allowed us to become the actresses we are today. From Ben-Hur to the best years of our lives, you gave us some of the best films of our time. Myrna Loy, you are just swell. Off-screen, she is as real and as true as the characters she played. Her real-life dialogue contains lines that only Myrna Loy would say, such as in the 40s when she challenged MGM with these words. Why does every Negro in a film have to play a servant? How about a black person walking up the steps of a courthouse carrying a briefcase? It was as much for the example she had set in life as it was for the image she projected on the screen that the world has paid her well-deserved tribute. Life, Myrna wrote, paraphrasing a great poet, is not a having and a getting, but a being and a becoming. She has lived every moment of her life by that standard. In the process, creating memories that are as indelible as they are precious. Myrna's last role in the television program Summer Solstice seems to sum up a lifetime's wisdom. Hers is one of the movie's loveliest legacies.
I hate a dry cork. I've taken little ladies over my knee for less.
Don't think I didn't know who or when.
We had no stamina in those days.
We had more everything in those days.
Hers is a legacy of grit and gaiety.
Why do you want to talk about old lovers?
Because we are old lovers, and we've made it, in spite of your growing pains.
And yours. You did all right for yourself.
Yes, thank you, I did. But I don't feel guilty about my old champions. I remember some of them happily and quite vividly.
Hers is a legacy of grace and glamour. And of believable, attainable romanticism.
God, I'm old.
You feel old?
Not at the moment.
Then shh. You're more beautiful than ever.
Wrinkles.
It took me a long time to give you those. Let me enjoy them.
Hers is a stardom, one of the few, by which we could all set a true course, happy and honorable.
Remember me?
See?